Grocery Rebate 2026 for Canadian seniors. Official update or rumor? Here's what's real. There's been a lot of talk lately, a lot of speculation, messages being shared across social media, headlines appearing in local news feeds, Canadians asking questions in community groups and senior centers across the country. The question is simple, but the answer is more complicated than most people realize. Is there a grocery rebate coming in 2026 specifically for Canadian seniors? And if there is, who qualifies? How much are we talking about? And more importantly, why is the government being so quiet about it? My name is Joseph, and I've spent years analyzing Canadian retirement policy, pension systems, and government benefit programs. Today, we need to separate fact from fiction, because when it comes to your money, your retirement security, and your ability to afford basic necessities, you deserve the truth. So let's talk about what's really happening with the grocery rebate in 2026. To understand what's happening now, we need to go back. In 2023, the Canadian government introduced what they called the Grocery Rebate, a one-time payment designed to help lower-income Canadians deal with rising food costs. It wasn't a new program. It was actually a doubling of the existing GST/HST credit for one payment cycle. Eligible Canadians received anywhere from around $234 for a single person, up to $628 for families with children, depending on their income and family size. It was delivered through the CRA. No application was needed if you filed your taxes. The payment arrived automatically for those who qualified. But here's what's important. It was described as a one-time measure, a temporary response to inflation, a short-term relief effort during a cost of living crisis. And then, it ended. Fast forward to late 2025 and early 2026. Inflation has cooled somewhat, but grocery prices? They haven't come down the way many Canadians hoped. Statistics Canada data shows that food costs remain significantly higher than they were 3 years ago. Seniors on fixed incomes, those relying on CPP, OAS, and GIS, are still struggling. Behind the scenes, advocacy groups have been pushing the government. Organizations like the National Pensioners Federation and CARP have been vocal. They've pointed to rising poverty rates among seniors. They've highlighted the gap between inflation-indexed benefits and actual living costs. Provincial governments have also weighed in. Some premiers have called for more federal support for vulnerable populations, particularly seniors and low-income families. And then, quietly, discussions began in Ottawa. Budget consultations, policy working groups, analysts examining whether another round of targeted relief might be necessary or politically strategic, heading into a federal election year. This is where the rumors started. But let me be very clear. As of today, February 2026, there has been no official announcement from the federal government confirming a new grocery rebate for 2026. What we do have are signals, policy hints, legislative possibilities, and a pattern of behavior that suggests something could be coming, but nothing is guaranteed. So what are we actually talking about here? The speculation centers around the possibility of the federal government issuing another one-time payment similar to the 2023 grocery rebate, targeted specifically at lower-income Canadians, with a potential focus on seniors. If this were to happen, it would likely work the same way as before. An enhancement or doubling of the GST/HST credit, delivered automatically through the CRA to eligible recipients. The GST/HST credit is already a quarterly payment designed to offset sales tax costs for low and modest income individuals and families. For the 2024-2025 benefit year, single Canadians can receive up to $496 annually, and couples can receive up to $650, with additional amounts for children. A grocery rebate would essentially double one of those quarterly payments, or provide an equivalent lump sum outside the regular schedule. Now, why are seniors specifically mentioned in these rumors? Because seniors represent one of the largest and most vulnerable groups affected by food inflation. Many are on fixed incomes. Many rely entirely on government benefits like old age security and the guaranteed income supplement. And many have seen their purchasing power eroded, even with indexation adjustments to CPP and OAS. Policy analysts I've spoken with suggest that if the government were to reintroduce this type of payment, it would make political and economic sense to target it towards seniors and low-income households, the groups facing the greatest financial pressure. But again, this is analysis. This is what makes sense based on policy trends and political strategy. It is not confirmation. If a grocery rebate were announced for 2026, the likely eligible groups would mirror the 2023 program. That means seniors aged 65 and older, who receive old age security and have low to moderate income, would almost certainly qualify. If you're receiving the guaranteed income supplement, you would likely be automatically eligible, as GIS recipients fall well within the income thresholds. Low-income retirees under 65, who receive CPP or CPP disability benefits and have modest total income, would also likely qualify, based on the same income-tested structure used for the GST-HST credit. Families and individuals. With net income below the federal thresholds, approximately $52,000 for families and $49,000 for individuals, though these figures adjust annually, would potentially be included. The key factor is income. This isn't a universal benefit. It's targeted. It's designed to reach Canadians who are genuinely struggling to afford basic necessities. If you filed your 2024 or 2025 tax return and you're already receiving the GST-HST credit, you would likely receive any new grocery rebate automatically, no application needed. If you're not currently receiving the GST-HST credit but your income is low enough to qualify, this would be another reason to ensure your tax returns are filed on time. The CRA uses your tax data to determine eligibility for these payments. Seniors who don't file taxes because their income is below the threshold, perhaps living only on OAS and GIS, should still file. Even if you owe no tax, filing ensures you receive all credits and benefits you're entitled to. Let's talk numbers. If the 2026 grocery rebate were structured the same way as the 2023 version, here's what eligible Canadians could potentially receive. A single senior with low income could receive approximately 234 cowies. A senior couple could receive around 306. For a senior receiving GIS, already living on one of the lowest income levels in Canada, that $234 could mean 2 weeks of groceries, a month's worth of medication copays, heating costs during a cold month, emergency home repairs. It's not life-changing, but for someone living on $1,500 or $1,800 a month, it's significant. Now let's be realistic. $234 doesn't solve the cost of living crisis. It doesn't reverse years of eroded purchasing power. It doesn't address the structural issues facing Canadian seniors: inadequate pension income, rising housing costs, healthcare gaps. But it provides short-term breathing room. And politically, it sends a message. The government is aware. The government is acting, even if incrementally. From a fiscal perspective, a nationwide grocery rebate could cost the federal government approximately $2.5 billion. Depending on eligibility criteria and payment amounts, that's a substantial expenditure. But in the context of a federal budget exceeding $400 billion, it's manageable, especially in an election year when targeted relief can have significant political value. So why would the government consider doing this? First, political pressure. We're heading into a period of heightened political sensitivity. Public opinion polling consistently shows that cost of living is the top concern for Canadians, especially seniors and retirees. A targeted rebate allows the government to demonstrate responsiveness without committing to long-term structural spending increases. Second, Demographic reality. Canada's senior population is growing rapidly. By 2030, nearly 1 in 4 Canadians will be 65 or older. This is a voting bloc that cannot be ignored. Senior poverty rates, while lower than in previous decades, are still concerning, particularly among senior women, recent immigrants, and those without workplace pensions. Third, fiscal caution. The government is facing significant fiscal pressures. Deficits remain elevated. Debt servicing costs have increased. There's limited appetite for permanent program expansions. A one-time payment provides relief without creating ongoing budget commitments. Fourth, inflation narratives. Even though inflation has cooled from its 2022 peaks, the perception of affordability challenges remains strong. Grocery prices, in particular, have become a political flashpoint. A grocery rebate allows the government to address this perception directly. Fifth, administrative simplicity. The infrastructure already exists. The CRA already processes GST/HST credits quarterly. Adding a one-time supplementary payment requires minimal new administration. It's a quick policy win. Now, let's talk about what the government is not doing. They're not raising OAS permanently. They're not restructuring GIS. They're not introducing a universal basic income for seniors. They're not significantly increasing CPP benefits beyond scheduled enhancements. This is targeted, temporary relief. It's politically strategic. It's fiscally contained. Whether that's the right approach is a matter of debate, but it's the approach that fits the current political and economic climate. Policy experts are divided. Some argue that one-time payments are ineffective. They provide short-term relief, but don't address systemic issues. Dr. Michael Prince, a social policy researcher at the University of Victoria, has argued that Canada needs permanent increases to OAS and GIS, not occasional cash injections. Others counter that in a constrained fiscal environment, targeted temporary relief is better than nothing and can be delivered quickly when Canadians need it most. Organizations like CARP have been vocal. They've called for more predictable, permanent support for seniors. They've pointed out that the gap between inflation-indexed benefits and actual living costs continues to grow, particularly for seniors in expensive housing markets like Toronto and Vancouver. Provincial governments have also weighed in, though responses vary. Some provinces have introduced their own senior benefits or affordability credits. Others have called on Ottawa to do more. Public response, based on social media activity and community discussions, has been mixed. Many seniors are hopeful. They remember the 2023 payment. They're watching for news. They're asking questions. But there's also frustration. Frustration that this is even necessary. Frustration that basic necessities have become so expensive. Frustration that government support feels reactive rather than proactive. And there's confusion. Is this real? Is it rumor? Should I be planning for this payment or not? That uncertainty is exactly why we need clear, credible information. If you're a Canadian senior, retiree, or low-income individual wondering what to do right now, here's my advice. First, file your taxes. This is non-negotiable, even if your income is very low, even if you owe no tax. The CRA uses your tax return to determine eligibility for the GST/HST credit, and any potential grocery rebate would likely be delivered the same way. If you haven't filed your 2024 return yet, do it as soon as possible. Second, ensure your direct deposit information is up to date with the CRA. If a payment is issued, you want it to arrive quickly and securely. You can update your banking information through My Account on the CRA website or by calling the CRA directly. Third, monitor official sources. Don't rely on social media rumors or unofficial websites. Check the Government of Canada website. Watch for announcements from the Department of Finance. Sign up for CRA email updates if available. Official announcements will come through government channels first. Fourth, be cautious of scams. Whenever there's speculation about government payments, scammers emerge. You will never be asked to pay a fee to receive a government benefit. You will never be asked to provide banking information over the phone or via email without initiating contact yourself. If someone contacts you claiming to be from the CRA and asking for personal information, hang up and call the CRA directly using the number on their official website. Fifth, plan conservatively. Do not count on this payment until it's officially announced and confirmed. Budget based on what you know you're receiving: CPP, OAS, GIS, existing credits. If a grocery rebate arrives, treat it as a bonus, not a guarantee. Sixth, stay connected. Talk to other seniors, join community groups, attend information sessions at senior centers. Knowledge is power, and shared information helps everyone. Seventh, advocate. If you believe more needs to be done to support Canadian seniors, make your voice heard. Contact your Member of Parliament. Support organizations like CARP that advocate on behalf of retirees. Policy changes happen when constituents demand them. So what happens next? The truth is, we're in a waiting period. Budget 2026 will be a critical moment. If the federal government plans to issue another grocery rebate, it will likely be announced in the spring budget, which typically arrives in March or April. That budget will reveal the government's fiscal priorities heading into what could be an election year. It will show whether affordability measures for seniors and low-income Canadians are a priority, or whether fiscal restraint takes precedence. There are several possible scenarios. Scenario 1. The government announces a new grocery rebate, similar to 2023, delivered in mid-2026. Eligible Canadians receive a one-time payment. Political credit is claimed. The issue fades until the next crisis. Scenario 2. The government announces a different form of relief, perhaps an increase to the Canada Workers' Benefit or enhancements to existing credits, but not a standalone grocery rebate. Seniors may or may not benefit depending on the design. Scenario 3. No new relief is announced. The government argues that inflation has cooled, existing indexation of benefits is sufficient, and fiscal pressures prevent new spending. Advocacy groups and opposition parties criticize the decision. Scenario 4. A targeted permanent increase to GIS or OAS is announced instead of a one-time payment. This would be significant and unexpected, but would represent a more structural approach to senior poverty. Which scenario unfolds depends on political calculations, economic conditions, and public pressure. What we do know is this: the conversation is happening, the need is real, the pressure is mounting. And whether it results in a 2026 grocery rebate or some other form of support, Canadian seniors and low-income households should be watching closely. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Right now, there is no confirmed grocery rebate for 2026. The rumors are based on policy analysis, political speculation, and wishful thinking, not official government announcements. But that doesn't mean it won't happen. The conditions that led to the 2023 grocery rebate still exist. Food costs remain high, seniors on fixed incomes are struggling, political pressure is building, and the government has shown a willingness to use targeted temporary payments as a policy tool. If you're a Canadian senior, you deserve clarity, you deserve predictability, you deserve to know that your government is committed to ensuring you can afford basic necessities in retirement. Until an official announcement is made, stay informed, file your taxes, keep your CRA information current, plan conservatively, and don't let rumors dictate your financial decisions. I'll be monitoring this situation closely, and I'll update you as soon as official information becomes available. If you found this analysis helpful, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video with other seniors, retirees, or family members who need accurate information about Canadian government benefits. And leave a comment below. Are you hoping for a 2026 grocery rebate? What would it mean for your household? What do you think the government should be doing to support Canadian seniors? Your voice matters. Your experience matters. And staying informed is the first step toward ensuring you receive every benefit you're entitled to. I'm Joseph. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and I'll see you in the next update.